Welcome, I'm Diane and thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to be talking about personal branding for introverts. Now, if you are an introvert and you think that being an introvert is maybe holding you back from building your personal brand and that those two things can't possibly go together easily, then that could not be further from the truth. When it comes to personal branding, introverts have almost all the same opportunities available to them as extroverts. If anything, personal branding is actually set up for introverts to be able to thrive. And I want to share with you today how, as an introvert, you can build your personal brand. So if this sounds like something that you might be interested in, or maybe you have a friend who is an introvert and feels like being an introvert is holding them back from building their personal brand, then grab your cup of tea and let's dive into it. I was at a party recently and I heard a mum say to their son that their uncle had gone home early because he needed to, as they talked about earlier, recharge his batteries. And hearing that explanation as a personal brand coach actually stopped me in my tracks because I wondered why more people don't explain being an introvert and being an extrovert as crystal clear as they had to their son. Since Carl Jung's conception of the idea of introversion and extroversion in the 1920s, it is still one of the most widely used descriptors for personalities, but it can often be really misunderstood. To break it down in that childlike simplicity that I heard explained that day, being an extrovert, for example, means that you get your energy from external stimuli or external activities, that you thrive in those spaces, that is how you recharge, that's how you recharge your batteries. But being an introvert, you get your energy from within yourself. So from your time alone, from your introspection, from your self-reflection, from your awareness of yourself, from being alone with your ideas. That's where you get your energy. That's how you recharge your batteries compared to people who are extroverts. There can often be a misunderstanding that being an introvert makes you shy. But that couldn't be further from the truth too. Yes, you might be an introvert and you might be shy, but you might also be an extrovert and you might be shy. It is not a condition of being an introvert. Being shy means that you are more nervous or self-conscious in front of other people. It's not about your actual preferences, which being an introvert actually is about. So when you have a better understanding then of what it is to be an introvert versus being an extrovert, it becomes clear that our modern working culture tends to favour extroverts. So just think of your open office plans, of your morning teas, your working lunches, your lunch parties, your after work drinks, your all-in group meetings, your working groups, and your endless, relentless meeting schedule. And all of those things seem to favour the people who are most visible and who have the loudest voices. So if you don't find any of those things appealing to you, or if you find them overwhelming, then it can feel like, as an introvert, when it comes to your personal brand, that you might be getting left behind. But that absolutely does not need to be the case, because personal branding can be so much more than all of the events that you're attending and all of the people that you're meeting and speaking to. And that's what I want to get into in more detail in today's episode. But before I do, let's start with a general understanding of what personal branding is. Personal branding is generally understood to be what people think about you, how you make them feel, what they say about you, especially when you're not in the room, and how they remember you. So it is really about just being intentional about what you represent and the impressions that you're leaving on other people. And who is better at being self-aware and intentional than introverts? So let's dive into my first tip. My first tip is to set personal brand goals like an introvert. Now, as an introvert, you are likely going to be amazing at contemplating all of your goals and your ambitions. And I want you to put that into practice when it comes to your personal brand. What is the vision that you have for your personal brand? because as an introvert, you are going to be really skilled at reverse engineering that vision into today. So while your counterparts might be rushing into short-sighted goals, you as an introvert are going to have the advantage of thinking long-term and having lasting impact for your personal brand. My next tip is to build your personal brand network one-to-one conversation at a time. Now, as an introvert, you are more likely to enjoy one-to-one interactions with people, or maybe just a small group of people. And you can absolutely build your personal brand in this way. So instead of attending events where there's hundreds of people and you're having low quality conversations with everyone there, you can actually have high quality conversations and build high quality relationships with a few people at a time. And this is going to have a much more lasting, profound impact on your personal brand than those other conversations. Remember, your network is your net worth. It is not how many people you know and speak to, it's the value that you bring to those relationships. And I'm going to extend on that point a little bit further for tip number 3, and that is to start with your innermost circle and not cocktail connections. So as an introvert, it is likely that you are going to feel more comfortable with people that you know well rather than strangers or people that you don't know very well. So why not build up your personal brand by starting with those people that you actually know well, your innermost circle. Building a personal brand does not need to be about introductions to one stranger at a time to build up that network. And this reminds me of a really nice concept that I learnt in a book called Choose Possibility. And in it, the Silicon Valley icon talks about the words of David Buckress. And they say, "Your old friends are better than your new friends." This is about the idea that your old friends are more invested in your goals than your new friends are going to be. They are more invested in your relationship and seeing you do well. And that's expanded on even further with the words, "But for all the pressure we put on ourselves to make cocktail connections, our greatest chance of finding an exciting new career opportunity comes from our own deepest professional connection." My next tip is to do your personal brand research like an introvert does best. Now, as an introvert, you are going to be really good at thinking before you act. You're going to do a lot of contemplating, a lot of self-awareness, a lot of reflection before you actually make a decision. And this can work to your advantage. So while your counterparts may rush into new ideas, you have the opportunity to sit back and observe. You're, as an introvert, incredible at observing others. And you can use your ability to observe others as part of your research process. And that does not need to be boring. It can be really fun. There is so many tools and information out there available to you in the form of YouTube and podcasts and blogs and articles and social media for you to get a better idea of where you want your personal brand vision to go and how you see yourself being able to execute that. And again, because you are wonderful at observing, you can observe what it is about those personal brands that resonate with you, what it is that they are doing that you like and you could be doing, but also what it is that they are not doing. And that could be where your opportunity lies. And you're going to be really self-aware at what value you can bring to the marketplace. My next tip is to build your personal brand in the comfort of your alone time. Every single week, I release a YouTube and podcast episode, a new blog. I post regularly on social media, especially LinkedIn, and I release a weekly Monday morning newsletter. And I do 99.9% of that, with the exception of a guest here and there, on my own in my office. So being an introvert and building your online personal brand can be something that you can do actually in your alone time. With the power of social media and digital technologies and all of the advances in equipment that is designed for people to be able to use on their own, then you can build your online presence and your online personal brand through the comfort of your home or your office. Remember, when it comes to building your own personal brand, it is not always about who you know, and it can be about who knows you. Thought leadership is one of the cornerstones of personal branding. And who is better at thinking than an introvert? My next tip is to be a world-class listener. Now, as an introvert, you are probably already an amazing listener. So why not use that to build your personal brand? There are so many YouTube channels and podcasts that are centered almost entirely around guest interviews. So you could become the next Joe Rogan simply by listening and asking questions. My next tip is to act on your personal brand in your own time. And one of the ways that you can do this is through batching. Now, if you're familiar with batching, you would know that this is when you group like tasks together. So this might be your content creation, it might be engaging on social media, it might be the way you actually execute your tasks, it might even be the way that you schedule your meetings. But by batching, you're able to protect your own time as well as having some interactions with others. You can act in the time that best suits you. You're still allowing for self-reflection and that introspection and that self-awareness and alone time that is really important to you as an introvert. Another way that you can act in your own time is to automate. Now, there is so much technology that supports automation processes, particularly online. So if you can do this for your social media or your emails or your work tasks, then do this as much as possible, because this will allow you to once again protect your you time and conserve your energy. My next tip is to do what you feel most energetically aligned to. So whether it comes to picking a social media or a digital platform to focus on, or even what event or meeting to attend if you have some control over that, then pick what actually energetically feels most aligned to you. Because remember, as an introvert, you get your energy from within, not from external stimuli as much as extroverts do. So be really careful about where you put that energy and what you feel naturally already aligned to. My next tip is to use data-driven decisions to build your personal brand. Now, as an introvert, again, you are amazing at self-reflecting and introspection and being self-aware. So use that to build your competitive advantage in the marketplace. There are different ways that you can gather data on how you can improve and build your personal brand. This might be through a real numbers-driven process like your sales, your finances, maybe your digital analytics, or any other numbers that you have available to you. Or it might even be through a more qualitative data analysis. It could be feedback that you have from your peers, from your managers, from your team members, or even from your clients. So how can you analyze that feedback to be able to move your personal brand forward, to make really data-driven decisions that only you as an introvert can do so well? My final tip is to use personal brand cues to let your achievements speak for themselves. Now, as an introvert, I'm going to guess that maybe compared to your counterparts, you are more of the quiet achiever, but absolutely an achiever nonetheless. So why don't you help the marketplace and the industry along, or potential customers, just a little bit further by allowing them to have a better understanding of what your credibility, your authority, and your knowledge is. And this could be as simple as maybe having your credentials displayed in your office. It could be having them on your profiles, and it could actually be sharing your content more in general. You could also use testimonials, or what I would call your portfolio of social proof. This is where you allow your relationship skills and your talents to be able to speak for you. So if you are wanting to build your personal brand as an introvert, don't let a misconception of what personal branding is stop you. Build your personal brand as an introvert, doing what introverts do best. If you have found any of this useful, then do please let me know by liking, commenting, or subscribing wherever you are. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.